Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's great to see you. I'm going to ask as we begin if everyone can if you can, to turn on your cameras just for a moment so we can see there's, wonderful humans here. Give everyone a wave. Hi, everyone. Hi, Vicky, maybe you can take a little screenshot. And if you can flick over to your next screen, we have 4 screens and you can see everyone waving. So don't forget to have a look there. It's so wonderful to see you all. We invite you just for these first 15 minutes, if you can keep your cameras on as we ground ourselves into the space together, and then you can turn your cameras off as we move in. But it's just wonderful as we begin just to see that there's a lot of faces here coming in from all over the world. So welcome. My name is Rosie Downey, and I'll be holding the space for you today. And I thought very deeply about how we'd like to open our event on reimagining education for sustainable futures today. And the phrase that kept popping into my head is, we are gathered here today. And I know that sounds very much like a wedding, but I actually think this is right. What we're doing here today is a celebration, and it's a celebration of the work of 67 project teams from the Global South who have come together with research teams and academics from across the world to bring together a union that is very unique between theory and practice. And we'll be moving into what all of this means for transforming education for sustainable futures. And soon I'll be introducing Leon to do that for us. But I just also wanted to take a moment to ground us into the space. I know that everyone here is extremely busy, and you have brought us a big gift by clearing your schedules and being here today. So just to honor that gift that you've already done, we ask that you try and be present with the stories that you're going to hear today, and also with the gift that everyone is bringing. And we really just hope that you enjoy our time together, our last time gathering together as the network, as well as the many, many guests we have that are joining us here today. So again, just thank you for your time. And we honor that as we step into the space. To kick us off, again, in true TESF style, we are actually going to begin with a song. So we'd like to invite Arundhati from India to bring us into the space. So thank you, Arundhati. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Rosie. And good morning to all of you and good afternoon. Such an honor to be in this space and singing this song for you. It's a song by one of the mystic poets of India, Kabir. It's called Haman Hai Ishq Mastana, which is basically, I am high on love. That's what the song says. And it was during our first in-person meeting, the TESF Network meeting in India, that many of us realized that really the crux or the fundamental of our work here is the politics of love, the connection with one another, the connection with ourselves, the connection with the nature, with the cities we live in, and so on and so forth. So this song that I'm going to offer to you today is the poet singing when he is so high on love, and he says, I'm so high on love, what do these other worldly matters really affect me? When I'm in touch with the beloved within, with my spirit, with the source within, then why am I restless? So that's the song that I've chosen to share with you today. And welcome you with Haman hai ishq mastana, हमन को होशियारी क्या, रहे आजाद या जग से, रहे आजाद या जग से, रहे आजाद या जग से, हमन दुनिया से यारी क्या, हमन है इश्क मस्ताना, हमन को होशियारी क्या, जो बिछड़े हैं प्यारे से भटकते दर बदर फिरते, जो बिछड़े हैं प्यारे से भटकते दर बदर फिरते, हमारा यार है हम में, हमारा यार है हम में, हमन को इंतजारी क्या, हमन है इश्क मस्ताना, हमन को होशियारी क्या, न पल बिछड़े पिया हमसे, न हम बिछड़े प्यारे से, न पल बिछड़े पिया हमसे, न हम बिछड़े प्यारी से, उन्हीं से नेह लागी है, उन्हीं से नेह लागी है, हमन को बेकरारी क्या, हमन है इश्क मस्ताना, हमन को होशियारी क्या। कबीरा इश्क का माता, दुई को दूर कर दिल से, कबीरा इश्क का माता, दुई को दूर कर दिल से, जो चलना राह नाजुक है, जो चलना राह नाजुक है, हमन सिर बोझ भारी क्या, हमन है इश्क मस्ताना, हमन को होशियारी क्या। रहे आजाद या जग से, रहे आजाद या जग से, रहे आजाद या जग से, हमन दुनिया से यारी क्या, हमन है इश्क मस्ताना।
A big round of applause for Arundhati. Thank you so much. As I always say, song has such a wonderful way of bringing us into our bodies. And it's been creative approaches to our understanding of the world has been such a big part of the network. So thank you so much, Arundhati. And without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our fearless leader, our principal investigator of the Transforming for Education for Sustainable Futures Network. Big mouthful there, and a lot to say. So thank you so much, Leon. And I'll hand the floor over to you. Thank you, Leon.
Thank you so much, Rosie, and good morning, everybody, and welcome to our gathering. And Arundhati, thank you so much for that beautiful song. I think it just encapsulates the spirit of what we want to achieve today, which is to share the love with you, share our journey, which is a journey of hope, although we face many challenges along the way, and our education systems are facing so many challenges today, but it is a story of hope. And although this is our last gathering, we hope that it is the beginning as well of new journeys. And we couldn't think of better people to share our journey with than with you, wonderful people. Thank you so much for giving up your time this morning to share with us. And we have a wonderful program for you. Rosie has sent you the program. In this opening session, I just would like to introduce a little bit of the flavor of TESF, a little bit of our backstory, a little bit of our journey so far, and about who we are as a network. So I think an important place to start is really understanding our present context, because I think more than anything else, what we've tried to do as a network is to start from the realities of the people that we're working with, the people who are facing the challenges of profoundly unsustainable futures in the world, whether it be the problems of climate change, of overcrowding in our cities, of youth unemployment, or whether it be the challenges of achieving sustainable livelihoods. And I think one of the framings for our work has been around the Futures of Education initiative that's been led by UNESCO. It's one way of thinking about our work. And we had a wonderful conference internally with our projects back in April. And in this conference, we want to reach out and engage with those futures, with these global agendas. And at a recent talk by the Secretary General of the United Nations, he pointed out the nature of the crisis facing education systems, that they are no longer fit for purpose, that people, many children around the world are not learning basic literacy and numeracy, but also learners, whether they're children or adults, are not learning about our planet and the connections that we have, the mutual responsibility, the mutual synergies that naturally exist between human beings and the planet. But we are also alienated from each other increasingly in contexts of inequality, of poverty, of conflict, and that education needs to be fundamentally reimagined in the context of new technologies, new futures, and all of the possibilities that education has for transforming the world. So there's also this recognition that although we must face the realities of the trajectories that we are on together, colleagues, we also have to keep close to our hearts the idea that education doesn't necessarily have to follow those trajectories, that our future is unwritten, it's what we make it. And education has a really profound role to play in that. But if it is to do so, then it needs to be changed. What we need, according to the Futures of Education report, is a new social contract for education that must be grounded in human rights and based on principles of non-discrimination, of social justice, of respect for life, human dignity and cultural diversity. It must encompass an ethic of care, of reciprocity and solidarity. It must strengthen education as a public endeavor and a common good. Very good friend and colleague, Catherine Adoro Hoppers, puts it, the futures of education must be built on a plurality of voices. As she says, this is our song. What you're going to hear today is our song, and it's a song from the South. So it's been a very emotional journey, as well as an intellectually enriching and stimulating one. I've made so many friends along the way. These are two very dear friends that accompanied me to the interview when we went for the interview back in 2019. Latif Ismail and Poonam Batra, both Latif isn't unfortunately able to join us today, but Poonam is in the room, and I'm sure Poonam will remember this day very, very well, because we went to the UKRI interview, and it's a large grant. It's nearly £5 million. And Poonam, Latif, they blew the interview panel away with our vision. And our vision is of Southern-led research. It's of research that starts from the realities of the people facing the challenges that we're trying to solve in the world. And to be honest, I was terrified as somebody coming from a prestigious elite university of Bristol. We're used to doing very traditional research, and this is really turning research on its head. It's giving money to the people to say, right, if we provide the scaffolding and the resource, give you the resource, go ahead and make a change, make a difference in the world. And that's exactly what the 67 projects have done. So it's a very humbling experience. I can no longer really call myself a principal investigator. I think of myself as a principal interlocutor, somebody who's had the enormous, very humbling position of having helping to assemble this wonderful group of people from around the world. This is who they are. So do we have the next slide, please? Okay, so this shows some of the wonderful meetings that we've had, where we've come together, we've communed, where we've shared ideas, where we've laughed together, where we've commiserated together at times, and where we've done the hard work of deep listening to each other, which goes to the heart of the co-creation approach, where we've really engaged with each other's ideas and who we are as human beings, where we're coming from, and where we'd like to go. And you can see that we've had, there's so many people across the network who have contributed to where we are today. And I'd like to just take this opportunity at the beginning just to thank everybody so much for the richness of the experiences, of the voices, the strength of the ideas, of the love, the enduring spirit of collegiality that we've engendered together. So our research questions when we started out were, how can education and training assist learners to achieve sustainable livelihoods? How can they assist learners to achieve more sustainable cities and communities? And how can education contribute to climate action? So we're really looking at the relationship between education and transforming people's lives, their livelihoods, their dwelling places, and creating a world where where people can begin to adapt and take climate action. But cutting across these is, we realize that we live in very in unequal societies, and a deep concern with TESF all the way through has been about tackling those deep-rooted inequalities, whether they are about class or caste or clan, or whether they are about gender or indigeneity. And we've also asked, how can collaborative action and learning be facilitated and sustained? And we want to talk to you today about what we've found out from our projects. The 67 projects that we funded have all looked at those. Do you have the next slide, please, Mickey? So I want to talk about these 67 projects, and Rosie mentioned the Prezi at the beginning. Do take a look at it. It's a great thing. It's beyond the sort of technological capability that I have, but fortunately we have some very talented people that have put together this wonderful Prezi, and do have a look. It's a great summary of where we are. Next slide, please. So this is where our projects are located, and you can see how the themes match onto the different locations. Basically, our wonderful hub leads in each of the countries, in South Africa, in Rwanda, in Somalia, Somaliland, and in India, put together their own captivating programs of research to address these research questions, but in these four diverse contexts. And then as hubs, where they synthesize those, they try to draw together some of the learnings. And a bit later on, we'll be hearing a little bit about that. Okay, so you can see that our research projects really covered such a range of different issues. Under sustainable livelihoods, looking at skills for employability, you'll hear about those, about life skills for sustainable futures, about how Indigenous groups are trying to develop skills that are relevant for their futures. How in the cities, we've worked with disadvantaged people on the margins of the city to reimagine their urban futures, providing people with the skills to create their sustainable urban futures, and focusing on things that really matter to people, food and water security in an increasingly insecure environment. How under education for environmental and climate justice, we've promoted climate change education, but also worked with communities to empower them to get communities that are usually not part of these conversations into these conversations about climate change, and in the process engaging, drawing on creatively their Indigenous knowledge, and in the process tackling these intersecting inequalities. So I'd like to just ask, so we have also, yes, next slide please, Mickey. We have in the process made some fantastic changes to people's lives, and I think you'll be hearing about those today, and it's important that you hear about those from the people that have been much closer to them. But we have some fantastic stories to tell about change, how we've transformed institutional hierarchies and cultures, whether what will be engendering more inclusive higher education institutions, or whether it's getting girls to break down the barriers so they can play basketball and develop their skills in Somaliland, or whether it's transforming social and environmental relationships, getting children planting trees, greening cities, and in the process, not only developing their social skills, but also their links with the natural world. Transforming pedagogies, whether that's the work of the BLED program in India, or whether it's the work of people working around gender-based violence using theatre of the oppressed methodologies, or working with indigenous methodologies and pedagogies in Rwanda. Whether it's transforming capabilities of informal traders and their attitudes and their skills, skilling them up so that they can read and write as well as deal with mobile money, or whether it's working with people in urban contexts to develop new skills to allow them to adapt to changing urban realities. Transforming policy and policy making, whether it's introducing a new ESD curriculum in Somaliland, or working with the Western Cape government around how to implement food gardens, or whether it's transforming knowledge hegemonies and hierarchies. We've drawn on Indigenous knowledge. Indigenous communities have told us how they would like to reimagine education in their own image, or how they would like to reimagine the law in their own image. In a moment, we're going to show you a short video, but before that, I have the enormous pleasure to invite my Pro-Vice Chancellor for Global Engagement, Professor Agnes Nairn, just to say a few words on behalf of the University of Bristol, who have supported the project unflinchingly from the start. So, Professor Nairn, over to you.
Thanks very much, Leon. First of all, I just want to say a massive congratulations to the whole team. First of all, for going to that scary interview and winning the £5 million to fund 67 projects in 4 countries and 2 continents. I mean, it's an absolutely extraordinary achievement. So first of all, just a massive congratulations to absolutely everybody who's on this call. There's 110 people from around the world here. So that's the first thing to say. The second thing to say is this is just so core to what we're trying to do in our global engagement at the University of Bristol. This year, I've been traveling all over the place, but mainly to Africa and India. And this has been, I guess, our year of Africa. We've created a powerful strategic partnership with the University of Cape Town that's embedded right across the university, professional services colleagues, as well as faculties, as well as research centres. And 2 weeks ago, I went with our Vice-Chancellor to Namibia, where we launched the Africa Charter for Transformative Research Collaborations. It was an extraordinary experience. There were 600 people there. It was the conference of the rectors and vice chancellors of the African universities, and people were queuing up to sign this charter. It was absolutely extraordinary. And what this charter aims to do is exactly what everybody on this call has been doing through these 67 projects. It's to have transformed collaborations between the global north and the global south, collaborations where knowledge is co-created, collaborations where the global south is in the driving seat, collaborations where Western knowledge is not taken for granted, but where Indigenous knowledge is put at the forefront. Research on what the global south says matters, not what funders in the north think matters. And research that puts the funding in the hands of the global north and isn't kept in the coffers of the global north. It's a revolution, and I think it's really, really exciting. I know that today you're going to talk about how all of these projects embody this completely transformed way of working between the global north and the global south. And I know this is going to lead to a huge debate that I think is going to have a massive impact right across the world. On a personal level, I was lucky to go to Hargeisa earlier in the year and to sit opposite some of the young women who had been on the Informal Trader project, who had been helping numeracy and literacy skills with traders in the marketplace. And the joy and pride on the faces of these young students having taken part in this project was really, really humbling and really quite extraordinary. I'd love to have the chance to visit many more of the 67 projects that have taken place. And I do know that they're going to have an absolutely extraordinary impact. So I hope you have a fantastic morning at this legacy project. And it really is a legacy it's a legacy that's going to have impact forever. And on behalf of the University of Bristol, and I just thank each and every one of you for the absolutely tremendous work. Thanks so much and have a really fabulous morning.
Thank you, Agnes. Thank you so much for those warm words.
So I'm very excited to be able to talk to you today about what we did in TESF and what we found out. We funded 67 projects altogether in India, Rwanda, South Africa, and Somalia, Somaliland. And those projects looked at the relationship between education and sustainable livelihoods, sustainable cities and communities, and climate action. So we recognise that the kinds of problems that we're dealing with, they're so complex that they can't be solved by academics alone. We need to bring in the perspectives, the voices, and the agency of those who are most affected by these issues. And I think what is special and distinctive about our approach is that we adopted a co-creative approach.
We have been very careful in terms of handling power dynamics and also ensuring that everyone is equal and everyone has equal voice. I think power of dialogue is significantly underestimated in thinking about solutions.
It's been an experiment really in knowledge democratization, involving not just university-based researchers, but teachers in schools, civil society organisations and students themselves and out-of-work youth and other stakeholders in the different national contexts we're working with. And these are very often voices whose perspectives are marginalised and don't feature in dominant narratives around education and in existing research evidence.
Knowledge can come from anywhere. Knowledge is created around the kitchen table, under a tree, in the marketplace. Knowledge is created everywhere. We would have conversations about how do you foreground the marginalized voices of people who might, be illiterate or who might not be able to speak English, who struggle with accessibility.
So the problems that these projects are dealing with are very real, they're very visceral, they really affect people's lives in very profound ways. Whether we're talking about the problems of youth unemployment, or whether we're talking about unsustainable cities, overcrowding, people living in informal settlements, a lack of services, or whether we're talking about the effects of climate change, whether it be drought in the Horn of Africa or flooding in South Africa, Rwanda and India. These are very real problems. And cutting across all of these kinds of issues are major inequalities that have their roots in history, whether those are based on class and clan and caste, but also inequalities based on gender, on rurality, or whether it's the kinds of inequalities that are experienced by indigenous communities. Education has a potentially transformative role to play in addressing these problems, but if it is to do so, then education itself needs to be fundamentally transformed. So these are the kinds of issues that we try to address through these 67 projects.
My experience has been the enormous strength and enthusiasm from each of these projects and the objectives that each project had to address. These were concrete objectives addressing relevant contextualized challenges that we have.
We've seen women's groups being able to, voice their particular interests in how they would like to see things change in their communities. We've seen activist organizations being able to mobilize more strongly amongst their communities to strengthen water security, for example. We've seen children in schools being able to grow food for their families and to bring communities into the schools. We've seen teachers been able to teach differently.
Some of the programs that we have funded worked with informal traders. 99% of the transactions take place over mobile money. For a lady who was selling fruits and vegetables, and she would say to you, you need to give me 20,000 shilling. If you sent 2,000, she couldn't differentiate. These individuals are now able to read and write and do basic maths. To those individuals, that was a life-changing experience.
So it's been a very interesting process. I think some of the most important outcomes from the project that we are seeing has been coming to understand the type of research that we need in our institutions today.
To look at how we make research about relationships, about the co-creation of knowledge, about the development of really diverse partnerships, and maybe making research look like something that might not have been seen before.
It allowed us to get in some of the best young minds, energetic minds, so that we facilitate this idea of knowledge co-creation, and believe me, they are now agents of change. They understand how to bring these multiple challenges and issues together.
So through TESF we've had this unique opportunity really to find out more about the kinds of structures and processes and supports that are needed and that can be put in place to enable the democratization of knowledge.
And I think it's the building of relationships and the building of connections and the, being able to empower communities. I think that's probably the most important legacy of TESF.
I myself and my team here in Rwanda, we've even built our own capacities, and believing that we can do this one together, and we are into it together to create a better world for people.
Everyone empower each other. You see the local leaders empowering academicians with their knowledge. You see local people empowering local leaders, sharing the experience. Then everyone was empowered through the process of co-creation.
So what we have created has the power to catalyze many significant changes on the ground because of the sheer power of our assembly. It has ended up becoming this beacon of hope.
Thank you so much, Mickey, for showing our video, and thank you to Toby Richards, our video producer, who made that wonderful legacy video for us. And you can see that and all of our other project videos and resources on the TSF website.
Mute, we're going to play a video which features some of the incredible work of the projects through our Mojo films, our mobile film journalism.
Barbar dhaqato haddaanu nahay dhirtaanu jari jirnay xeryaan ka oodan jirnay waan baan ka dhisan jirnay dhulkii xaaluf uu noqday xoolihii maxay afka la aadaan bay waayeen
Education and also something to fill up the stomach because with an empty stomach you can't do anything.
Layers. I sien ek kan opgelos is as ons met mekaar praat.
enter our final 15 minutes together, we have two important things to usher us to our close. So I hope that you will stay with us right to the end, because there is one thing that we're doing as we close together today. We also close up to 3 years together and hundreds of people. So we do have two things just to bring us to that close. We're going to look a little bit inward to see what the meaning of all of this was. Leon's going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to be starting to look outward to talk about how to integrate our work moving out there. So the first person who will usher us to the end is someone who's been with us from the beginning, Njairu. So I'd like to invite Njairu. Her voice has been with us for all of this time, and it's something that has been really important throughout the TESF network, is the power of arts-based approaches to communicating the work. So I'm going to invite Njairu, and then Njairu will hand back to me, and then I'll hand over to Leon for our final words. Thanks, Njairu.
Good morning, good people. Is my voice showing up on the other side? In the spirit of legacy, I wanted to offer a song. I wanted to offer a song into the space that is about what is gathered, the rhythms that are gathered, and all that is going forth from this wonderful work, from this big work, all that's been activated from the work. And the song really means to provide a soundscape of the echoes across time that this work is going to create as a way. So, raise my voice, please. Is that better? Gadundu, gadundu, gadunde, gadunde, gadundu, gadundu, gadunde, gadunde, gadundu, gadundu, gadunde, gadunde, gadundu, gadundu, gadunde, gadunde, gadundu, gadundu, gadunde, fire, fire, gadundu, gadundu, gadunde, fire, fire, gadundu, gadundu, gadunde, fire. Fire, katuntu, katuntu, katunte, fire, fire. Hey, hey, oh, hey, the way that you move's a brazen dare, demanding that we move with you. Ooh, an infectious rhythm, tapping through. It strikes a chord, bursting creativity. And you do, and you do, and you give from where you came. And you do, and you do, and you bring it all the same. And you do, and you do, and you give from where you came. And you do, and you do, and the rhythm seems to say, you too can. You too can. Ooh, the rhythm brings a multiplicity of being, a renewal, a desire, an urge. Oh, steadily rocking, I catch a fire feeling. There is a pulse, there is a wave of change arising. And you do, and you do, and you give from where you came. And you do, and you do, and you bring it all the same. And you do, and you do, and the rhythm seems to say, forward's the motion, keep your focus to the possibilities arising. The possibilities arising, yeah.
A huge thank you to Njiru. Thank you so much. Your song always has a way of just being able to bring us into the emotion of what we're actually feeling, particularly at the end of our time together. There is one thing that just stood out, which is follow your passion and keep your focus too. And I think that does really speak to how everyone in the network has been carrying themselves. So again, thank you for your time, Njiru, and for sharing your song and words. And to bring us to our final closing, our last usherer to the end is Leon. And just before I invite Leon to give us our closing words, I just want to give a huge thank you to Leon for being our fearless leader, for his ability to so carefully listen to whether it's a huge team or whether it's an individual. So really just a huge thank you from everyone here. I know that everyone would love to unmute now and give their personal thanks, but we're just going to give you a round of applause now, as I know that you're going to take us to the end. So thank you so much, Leon, for pulling off something that was so unique and incredible.
Thank you, Rosie, and thank you, everyone. It's been one of the most pleasurable experiences of my life to work with these wonderful people on this journey. And I just feel so rich and transformed through the experience. And I think that song by Njiru really kind of sums up the emotional depth as well as the intellectual depth of our commune over the past 3.5 years, which seem to have just shot by. But I really want to also just take this opportunity to thank all of the people that have been on this journey. And let's remember that this is, as they say in South Africa, we part to meet. Although this is the end of our funded period, that this is our last gathering together under TESF, that of course we will continue to commune and meet in the future. So we part to meet. But I would really like to thank our funders, UKRI. I think, they took a very brave decision to fund us. And I think they've actually, hopefully, feel that they've got very good value for money. We certainly feel we've given you very good value for money in all of the work that has been produced. I would like to thank, from the bottom of my heart, all of our projects. And, they've just been superb. Hopefully today you've got a flavor, a taste of the wonderful work that's been done and the amount that's been invested. And let's not forget that we're talking about communities that are facing very real challenges in their lives. They're doing this research not from the privileged position of being in a university, of being funded to do this kind of thing, but actually on the back of everything else that they have to do just to survive. So, we really appreciate your efforts, all of the project teams, and those of you who are here today, thank you so much from all of us in the TESF leadership team. And I would like to really thank the TESF leadership team. It's very much been a collective intellectual effort as well as an organizational one. And, we've heard from the hub leads, and many of our hub partners, our country partners, were in the breakout sessions and leading the breakout sessions. Hala in South Africa, Michael in Rwanda, Latif in Somaliland, and Poonam in India, supported by their hub teams and outstanding individuals in each of those countries. Thank you so much for all of your efforts in synthesizing this work, in providing the safe space that was talked about earlier, that's needed for people to come together and to share their ideas in this very challenging kind of situations that people are facing. I would really like to also thank other members of the leadership team who are here today, Sue Parnell, Eric Herring, Ian Vowles, Simon McGrath, Kerry Facer. Your contributions, your intellectual contributions have been absolutely fantastic. So important, so difficult to quantify. You've helped to provide the intellectual ether that has helped the projects and us to breathe collectively. And our fantastic advisory group, I can see and Pezi, but all of the advisory group have been superb in really support and challenge all along the way, pushing us to think about new things, to reflect in different ways, and to be brave, encouraging us to be brave. And we've needed that support. So thank you so much. I can't begin to say how valuable that's been. And to the rest of the Bristol team, my dear Bristol team, sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional now, but you know, Joe and Camilla, Joe Brooks and Camilla Beardsmore have been, you know, the heart of the engine room, really, of TESF all through. They've really helped to drive the project. Without your support, without your work, your hard work, none of this would have been possible at all. And we are deeply appreciative of everything that you've done. Thank you so much, so much for all of that. And to our wonderful, also, Rona has been outstanding. In, you know, you came in near the end of the project, well, just one year ago. It's hard to believe, because in so many ways, from your presentation you gave today, it's very clear that you absolutely have been immersed in the projects. And without your attention to detail, your ability to pull things together, the synthesis work, we would never have got to this stage. And we really appreciate your efforts, and also that of Tara, who was your predecessor, who really got us along the road of the synthesis work. So an enormous thank you to Tara and to Rona, and my dear friend, colleague, Raphael. You've been there all along. You've given way beyond what is expected, or what you've been, what your FTE, to put it in very managerial terms, has allowed. You've given everything to this, to the capacity building side of things, and you know, we're very appreciative of your efforts, leading the communities of practice, the other capacity mobilization activities, and for helping us with Arjen to think through what capacity mobilization means in this kind of context. And our external evaluator, Ash, and supported by Freya in the last few weeks, thank you so much for that, for your evaluation, for supporting, for challenging us along the way, and helping us to reflect on our values and to genuinely learn as we go along. Your approach has been game-changing, I think, for the way that we've approached things in TESF. And thank you to Penn as well for helping to curate our website so nicely, to Toby and to the web development team that have helped to produce our videos and our websites along the way, to my university, who helped bail us out, actually, when we were faced with cuts. It was nice that Agnes was able to join us earlier. And a very special thank you to Rosie and the team. You really have done an astonishing work. I've never been involved in online projects like conferences that have just been so well put together, so well curated, and you've really made us think all along the way about what we're doing. And we just wouldn't have got to this stage of being able to present our work in this way without you. Rosie, Mickey, thank you so much, so much for all of your efforts. It's really appreciated. And thank you to the participants today. It's so nice to see you. And some of you are old friends, some of you are new friends, but we are going to continue to be friends along the way. And, you know, whether it's the team from TES and the European project, it's so nice to see your project represented here today. Rachel, it's lovely to see you, and Maria, but also everybody else who's able to join us and share in this this last of our events. So I better stop there before I get too emotional. But thank you so much, everyone, and take care. And as they say in South Africa, we part to meet.
Thank you, everyone. And that's a wrap. With that, we ask you actually to turn your camera on, turn your microphone on, and say something into the space as we part. So thank you so much.
Nakorokoto team.
Thank you.
Congratulations from Zimbabwe.
Good night. Goed werk.
Wonderful experience.
Well done, everybody.
Prima gedaan.
Thank you,
Tot
everyone.
ziens.
Thank you so much.
Tot ziens.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Marakoze, thank you.
Marakoze.
Thanks for today.
Nevet gelje.
Rifas.
It's too hard to leave, but
It is Rona, yeah. It's Rona.
I don't want to go.
Yeah, that's good.
Rona,
yeah,
thank
that's
you, and go well, and we'll
It's-
see you
yeah.
again, no doubt.
It's
Yeah.
her
Lots
touch.
of love to you all. Take care.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
Rosie,
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Hella,
Rosie. Thank you,
Ash,
Mickey.
yeah.
Thank
for
you.
All for my head.
holding us together here.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.